Quick question. If you were invited to a meeting on a ship by the British Empire in 1887, would you go? Because let me tell you about a man who did, and it did not go well. Welcome to another episode of Nigeria Untold, because history isn't always sunshine and jello. Today's episode is about a man, a king, a monopoly, a colonial trap, and the slickest kidnapping in the history of politics in Nigeria. Grab your tea or your palm wine and let's talk about Jaja of Opobo. Let's rewind to the early 1800s. Our main character has a name that commands respect. His name was Mbanazo Opara Ozurumba. He was renamed Jaja Boa. And if I pronounce that wrongly, I apologize. History will call him Jaja. As a kid, he was captured and sold into slavery. Now pause. When people hear slavery, they conclude that the story ends in tragedy. No, this man said, I will climb, and climbed he did. Bonny was not just any port, it was booming with palm oil, canoe stag, Europeans trading, and European ships docked like it was Black Friday at the dock. Industrial revolution machine needed lubrication, so factories were screaming and palm oil became liquid gold. And the factories in Liverpool were screaming, send more oil. And who learned the 610 inside out? Of course, our main character, Jaja. He's taken to Opobo Kingdom, a trading powerhouse in Niger Delta, and palm oil flowing like money, because it is literally money. And Jaja grew up in this system. He studies it, learn pricing, learn negotiation, learn politics, and instead of being swallowed up by this system, he became the system. By the 1850s, he rose and became the head of Anna Purple House. That's like being the CEO of a multinational corporation, but with canoes and muskets. And here is where he gets juicy, when he starts having internal strife, rivalry, and political tension. And Jaja was like, I will build my own. In 1869, he gathered his people and built Opobo from scratch. Yeah, let that sink in. He built Opobo from scratch. He leaves a major kingdom and started a new one. And yeah, in a few years, Opobo was booming. European traders cannot access inland producers without going to Jaja. You want palm oil? You talk to him, you negotiate with him, and you respect his prices. He created what the modern economists would call virtual integration. And the British merchants, they were fuming. They were not so happy about this, because they do not like being told what to do by an African king who understands contracts better than they do. So they started whispering, he's obstructing trade, he's violating treaties, he's too powerful. Yeah, too powerful. Funny how that word shows up when African leaders become efficient, because they were doing just fine with his powers until it interfered with theirs. By the 1880s, the British wanted total control. They were tired of partnership. Now we have our main villain, Consul Henry Johnston. He invited Jaja aboard a British ship for discussion. Red flag number one. You never go to a negotiation where the other party controls the ocean. But Jaja goes, because diplomatically, that is what a leader does. He bought the HMS Goshawk, and once he was on deck, they arrested him. There are no trial in Opobo, just we are coming with us. They deported him across the Atlantic to St. Vincent, and that is how Jaja went from the king of a booming oil empire to exile overnight. He becomes a political prisoner on a Caribbean island, and Opobo becomes leaderless. The control ships and the British trader move in. Isn't it interesting how that works? From St. Vincent in the Caribbean, he was later sent to Barbados. Many years passed. He writes, he petitions, he appeals. Eventually in 1891, he was later allowed to return home. Unfortunately, he died on the journey back home. Officially, they said illness. Unofficially, historians still raise their eyebrows because the timing was very suspicious. His body was returned back home to Opobo and he was buried with honor, but the damage had been done. This was not just about palm oil, it was about the control of African economic system. Jaja was not anti-trade, he was anti-exploitation, and that was unacceptable by an empire that was hungry for power and dominance. So they removed him with paperwork and deception. Jaja's story is not just slave to king. It represents what we see again and again in Nigeria history. Leaders who resist economic takeover often find themselves neutralized, exile, or worse. So next time someone says colonization was just trade expansion, remember Jaja. Remember that it built wealth without surrendering sovereignty, and remember that the British did not defeat him in battle. They invited him to tea and locked it up. Remember the staircase of that ship and ask yourself, if they invite you aboard, are you stepping on? And that, my friend, is today's episode of Nigeria Untold, because history isn't always sunshine and jollof. I'll see you next time in the next episode. Please like and subscribe. Until then, stay curious, stay questioning, and maybe do not board the ship. Bye bye.